Hello guys, how are you? We are with my traditional monthly review of my portfolio on the way to financial freedom. So this month I've been thinking how can I add more value to you, so I've made some major changes. Of course, we will continue with the monthly updates, but also I will add some more data to you. For example, what if I told you that I knew 2 days before that Cashwagon Vietnam will go bankrupt on the Mintos lending platform? On this month, I have made some major changes on my portfolio. So let's dive in my portfolio update. I'll start my review again with Mintos, but before that, let's take a look at my portfolio. You can see the portfolio from the last month and from this month. As you can see, Mintos is a large piece of my portfolio, but in this month I've changed this so that the role of Mintos is going down. This is the only part of my portfolio that I have decreased by 12%. And I have increased my portfolio on PeerBerry on Reinvest24. But I'll go in details to this when we look at the different platforms. So let's start by Mintos. We had again one AMA session with Martin Sulte, and I'm gonna make a short review for you in case you don't have again 1 hour to watch the whole video. Martin Sulte assured us that the company is working now on normal pre-crisis levels. All of the 150 employees, half of them are working from home and half of them are in the office.
So that's what we're working on. So there's going to be updates on the granularity of that, and then investors going to be easy to see where they come from and where they stand with the pending payments, and then also on the overview section, so we can separate out the pending payments from kind of those payments which in reality is in recovery. So that's what we would call them.
There are some major changes, major issues that happened on Mintos. They're continuing their work on the regulation process.
It's a regulatory project, so as we have announced, so we applied for the investment brokerage firm license and for the electronic money institution license, both European-wide licenses, which we can passport across Europe. Good progress there.
Also, a huge part of their employees, 1/3 of them, is working on the loan originators which defaulted.
There's a lot of work which goes behind the scenes, so which investors don't really see. So all in all, I would say that today we had a team of about 150 people, and I would say that around like 50 people work day in, day out on all the problem cases. So there's a...
Then we have the questions that were asked to Martin Sulte.
That's what we're gonna change, because part of the pending payments is really what we would internally call, or what we would deal with, is in recovery. So basically, in fact, those are payments which were due from the loan originator. So they either collected the payments from the borrowers, or they are due to make the buyback payments, but they have not done. And that has been for extended period of time. So we're gonna separate them out and also show on the overview page for investors. And then it's basically, if you look at the pending payments, which are for regular loan originators, those which are working on the marketplace, there we actually see quite a good picture. So we see that around like 2 to 3% of total portfolio is in pending payments, and then average pending days are about 2 days. So this 15 to 20% comes, most of it, majority of it, comes from the those problem cases where we are actually working with recovering as much as possible. So it's obviously been a few lending companies which have experienced a problem, and I guess what we have seen is that a lot of risks have materialized in a rather short period of time, which of course have been triggered to very large extent by the COVID-19 crisis. And that has resulted in many of the risks accelerating. So those risks have been out there all the time. So, but as usual with a crisis, a lot of risks actually materialize. So what we've seen, and I'm not going to go in like each and every case. So we shared the updates on the blog post, but basically on a general note, what we have seen that risks have materialized in many different forms. So we have seen borrower default risk. So basically some of the lending companies going into the problem because the borrowers are not being able to pay back the loans. So either they lost a job, or there's problems with collections, or there's moratorium or whatnot. And then it's kind of borrowers are basically defaulting more than previously. And that actually brings a problem if you go back to the pending payments, where actually the pending payments come from. So in a regular kind of ordinary course of business, pending payments is just a kind of way of regular settlements, and then investors should not see much effect of that. Vast majority, like 2/3 of the pending payments are actually buybacks. So that means that the lending companies have not been able to honor those buybacks. And then we have to work with those cases. So it's a typical recovery case. So it's a workout case, which in some cases might take quite a bit of time to work on and actually get those buybacks fulfilled. Having said that, what we look is on the kind of on a portfolio basis. While it might sound that it's a kind of a lot of problem case, actually, if you look at the portfolio basis, then of the around like 500 million portfolio which is outstanding, about 100 million euros is affected by one sort of problem or the other. Vast majority, like 80% of the portfolio, continue to perform. So we've seen some of the lending companies doing actually taking advantage of the crisis. I don't necessarily agree on the specific numbers, but it's not that stark difference. But obviously, there's been a bit more buybacks than previously. But the problem is really that, or the thing behind that is what I explained is basically that the underlying portfolios are deteriorating in the quality. So that means that there is less repayments from the borrowers and more of the buybacks which the lending companies have to fulfill. It doesn't mean that the lending company has bought it back themselves. If you look back, for instance, I just checked the last week statistics. There were about 17 million euros of what we call kind of rebuys. Of those, about 1/3 are the buybacks. So it's basically 60+ days buybacks. And then a big portion is also early repayments. So the borrowers are actually repaying the loans early. And there's always a risk of early repayment. And then there are also cases where the agreements are terminated or agreements are amended. And then there are cases, some loan originators are buying back the loans. They basically exercising the call option. So there's a lot of reasons behind kind of the loans being bought back. When we look at the monthly basis, so today, with all the cost reduction which we did and with the current kind of revenue sources, we are more or less break even in the current month. So, but we have to really realize that there's quite a severe crisis out there, and even with all the government support and all the money printing out, because of the kind of those lockdowns, because of the borrowers losing job and so forth, lending is actually one of the first affected. And if you look at the cross kind of the fintech space, then there's companies which are actually doing very well during the crisis. And then there are like fintech companies which are doing less well, and the lending is definitely affected by the crisis. If you take the same work situation, a lot of loans, if not majority of loans, are still outstanding with the borrower. So we cannot go in and claim, hey, Works, we can go in and claim, hey, Works, give us like 5 million euros. But obviously they don't have this money sitting on the balance sheet just for that. So, and they are struggling to kind of survive. And if we kind of push too hard, then we are at the risk of kind of losing the servicer. If we lose the servicer, then, well, we have to step in. But then the recoveries, even if they cannot recover, then kind of us collecting or third party collecting, it's going to be even worse. I think it's, we can talk only about our efforts after certain period of time, if they were yielding some results or not. In the short term, obviously, it's not possible to solve those issues kind of in a short term.
Maybe now is the time to like my video.
The ratings is really kind of should be looked also on a relative basis. So rating A doesn't mean that this company never going to have any problems, and rating B also doesn't mean that they're never going to have problems, and C likewise. So it's still rather like medium to high risk investments irrespective where we stand. So it's also relative within the Mintos space. So we cannot really compare the Mintos A rating with whatever Fitch A rating. So it's not comparable. So we're going to improve it. Ratings, we're going to have actually a separate rating for the loan portfolio, so loan performance, a separate rating for the buyback guarantee, so how good this one is, and then a separate rating on kind of structure and lending company and so forth. So
Martins answered also to some of my questions during this AMA session.
As mentioned, it is credit enhancement, so it should not be treated as guarantee. And that's something which we should look into, so that people don't treat it that it is 100% guaranteed. So it is a third-party guarantee that the borrower will make the payment, and it is as good only as a provider of the guarantee. So it's not 100% assurance that the loans will be paid back.
So as we can see, a buyback guarantee is not always a 100% guarantee. With that said, I moved to my auto investment strategy. So like I do every month, as you can see, I have lowered my interest rate expectations as I look for safer loans with less interest. And also I increased my loan duration to 6 months. And from the position of my investment experience from 2.5 years, I would advise you to do the same, guys. So don't invest in B- and C or D loans. Now we're going to talk about my portfolio on Mintos. Again, it performed well. I had a nice return on investment, but the cash wagon loan originator, which was defaulted, was a large part of my portfolio. It was about 10%. So how did I know that they are gonna go bankrupt? The answer is I was a member of the Facebook group Mintos Fellows. I'm gonna leave a link to this group so that you can follow it. And there was a publication that Cash Wagon Vietnam will go bankrupt about 2 days before it happened, and it was published on Mintos. I also leave a link to a spreadsheet with my Mintos portfolio and with the status of all of the loan originators which had some problems. Like Monego, Finco Armenia. Actually, Finco Armenia is the only loan originator which paid back some very small part of the loans, so that you can follow all of this progress. And until this process is cleared and all of those loan originators start paying back the payments, I have decided to decrease my portfolio on Mintos to be not so much dependent on them. So from 60% they went down to 52% from my portfolio, and this process will continue as I will reinvest my returns in the other platforms, like I said, PeerBerry and Reinvest24. So my target is to have 1% growth each month, and the compound interest will do the rest, because usually my return is about 1% of the portfolio each month. And maybe I will add some small sum just to reach that level, because for example on Bondora Go and Grow this percentage is 0.5%. So when I grow with 1% every month, in about 60-65 months my portfolio will grow with 100%. It will double. As you know, money is a game, and doubling is the main principle in this game. So in 60 months, 1% growth, I will have 100% growth on my portfolio. This is the compound interest. By the way, do you know what would happen if my portfolio would grow by 2% each month? So at the end of the 16th month, it will grow with 300%. The next platform that I would like to review is Bondora, as it's the second largest part of my portfolio. Bondora Go and Grow the partial payouts. The request that I placed on the 23rd of March happened and my whole sum was paid back in 2.5 months. The exact days here. As you can see, partial payouts still continue, but they give us a peace of mind, at least for the existing investors. I asked the support when it is supposed that the partial payout will finish, and there was no clear answer, so for now we should count on partial payouts. My Portfolio Pro investment had again the largest return on investment from my portfolio, with more than 20% return on investment. By the way, I rank on the top 1% of the investors. You can see the statistics. But I didn't increase this portfolio. I left it with 100 euros because I couldn't find more loans to invest in. There are only Estonian loans available. I continued my strategy with selling the loans on the secondary market, which was very successful. I was able to sell about 30 euro in loans with 5 or more % premium. So I'm satisfied with this portfolio as well. I will continue investing there, but until I can find more loans, I will leave it by 100 euro. If you want me to put another partial payout request on Bondora Go and Grow, just write a comment below so I can start another one to let you know how long it takes to take your money out of the Bondora Go and Grow. Let's continue with PeerBerry. I increased my portfolio by 250% on PeerBerry. So basically I took some of the amount from Mintos out, and by the way it stayed uninvested on Mintos, and I invested it on PeerBerry. On PeerBerry the loans that I could find are between 9 and 10% interest rate. So the interest rates have gone down. And so this will happen also with the return on investment, but still I feel more confident about my investment there. Well, there is a certain reason why the interest rates have gone down in PeerBerry in the last month, but I won't go into details now because everything was said in my interview with their CEO, which I published a couple of days ago. So I will leave a link in case you missed this interview. Finally, I go to Reinvest24. I increased my portfolio also by almost 100%, so I doubled it. I invested in one more project, which is this time from Moldova. This is gonna be a shopping center, but this time my revenue will not come from the rental payments, but it will be a normal loan. You can count it like a mortgage loan because our loan is secured by a first-time mortgage. The return on investment that is promised there is 15%, but you have 2% commission fee when investing. So I expect a real return on investment of about 14%, which is still fine because I couldn't find better loans, better secured loans on Mintos. For example, A-ranked loans on Mintos are by 11%, and on PeerBerry I could find just 9 and 10% loans. So I'm fine with this percentage. Also there's another major change that we can invest as little as 50 euro on Reinvest projects. So it's not like before. Before we had to start by 100 euro. The only thing that I missed is something like an amortization structure of this loan or repayment structure, and I wrote to the support. I got an answer 2 days later that the last repayment of this loan will be on the 1st of July 2021, so this means in 1 year. By the way, in the next weeks I will have another interview with Reinvest24 CEO, similar to the one that I did to the PeerBerry CEO. So in case you have any questions or something's bothering you about this platform, you can leave just a comment in this video below and I will ask him. Now you see a summary of my passive income during the month of June. As you can see, it's a little bit less than the last month, but again it's around 30 euro, or it brought me 11% return on investment, almost 12 actually. My plans for the portfolio is, like I said, is to grow it by 1%. If you ask me why don't you grow it by more, actually the idea is that I will increase my portfolio in other asset classes, and I will start now with the US stock market. Actually I have started there a few months ago, but I'm waiting for the Q2 results to come out, so I expect some drop in the prices and I will buy more stocks in the future. By the way, if you want me to include my stock portfolio in this monthly review, just write a comment below. So thank you guys for watching. Support my channel by liking this video, comment below and subscribe so that you can stay updated, and see you next month with my next portfolio update.